Well, good morning from Suburban Jessup. Hope you're doing well today. What we're going to video today is we're going to make a real quick pair of tongs. A friend of mine, Bill Corey, came over 2 days ago and we kind of played around in the shop. It was cold, it was nasty. So he came over and I made a pair of tongs with a power hammer. He made a pair of tongs by hand, and then we got to playing around. He had an idea for some quick tongs. I've seen the tongs where you forward the jaw and the boss, and then you turn the jaw right there where the boss is at. I've seen those. I've seen the tongs where you lay them out and you cut them. So this is kind of an offshoot of both those ideas. What we're going to do is we're going to lay it out. I'll show you the layout, and then we're going to drill a hole on each end for the rivets, and then we're going to put it on the bandsaw and we're going to split it for the reins down the middle. And then once we do that, we're going to rivet them together, and then we're going to heat them up. We're going to pinch about 2 inches in the vise and we're going to twist it. Okay? And when we're done, we should have a nice pair of tongs. So that's what we're going to do today. Appreciate you watching. Hope you enjoy the video. If you do me a favor, like it and share it with your friends. That helps me to continue making these videos. Okay, let's get down to it. So we're going to start out showing you the tools that we're going to use for this project. For the layout, we're going to use this hook rule that's made from a small carpenter square. Okay, going to use it for the layout. We used a tape measure just to measure the full length, and then we used a speedy square to square up the lines. So that's what we used for the layout. We used a Sharpie. Now normally I use a silver pencil when I'm laying things out, but most everybody's got a Sharpie or can get a Sharpie. They may not have silver pencils and probably don't. So I used a Sharpie today. Once we get it laid out, then we're going to center punch to drill our holes, and there's our center punch, and there's our ball-peen hammer. Then over here we have our twisting wrench that we're going to use, and that's just an old monkey wrench with a handle welded on it. So we're going to set that off to the side and set that off to the side, and we're going to go ahead and set that off. Now here's a piece of the original stock. The original stock is 1 inch wide by 1/4 inch thick, 1/4 by 1 hot rolled. Okay, relatively inexpensive at your local job shop. It can come in 10 or 20 foot lengths. My local shop just happens to carry 10-foot lengths. They don't charge you for cutting a 20-foot length down, and it's fairly reasonable. And you can get five pair of tongs out of 1 10-foot piece. That's not too bad. So this is what the original stock is before we laid it out. So on the layout, if you look from this side, we come across 2 inches. We make a mark and we square it. Then we start again from the end. We measure it 3 1/2. Make our mark and we square it. Then we start from the end again and we come over 4 1/4 and we mark it and we square it again. Okay, now the reason I do that is so when if I go from here to here and I go 2 1/8, when I go from here to 3 1/2, this will be 3 1/2. It won't be 3 3/8. Okay, if I go 2 1/8 here and then I go 1 inch and 5/8 here, I've already gained 1/4 inch. See what I'm saying? If you make an error, it adds on to itself. Okay, So I measure from the end. I go 2, 3 1/2, 4 1/4. Now over here, I've showed 2 inches from here to here, 1 1/2 from here to here, and 3/4 from here to here. Okay? But basically you just lay out both ends the same. You lay it out 2, 3 1/2, 4 1/4 on both ends. Okay? That should leave you, if you've done everything right, that should leave you with 14 inches from here to here, and that'll be your range stock. That's what's going to make your range. So the total length is 22 1/2 inches, and like I said, we're using 1/4 inch by 1 inch hot rolled steel for the project. So that's the layout. Okay? Now, once we get it laid out, we take our center punch. Oh yes, before we center punch, on your 3 1/2 inch mark, you want to come down to the middle. This is inch thick or inch wide, so you want to come down 1/2 inch, and you want to mark 1/2 inch on your 3 1/2 inch marks. Okay, you want to mark 1/2 inch on your 4 1/4 marks. On your 4 1/4 marks, you want to take your straight edge and you want to mark from there to there. Okay, now you want to go ahead and you want to take on your 3 1/2 inch marks, you want to take your center punch, and you want to center punch there, and you want to center punch there. Put that on our marks. There's 1 on our marks. There's 2. So there's our piece. There's our marks. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to drill the holes for our rivets to hold our pieces together. And then after we do that, then we're going to take and we're going to bandsaw. We're going to start here. We're going to start here, and we're going to curve. We're going to curve in, and we're going to run down as straight as we can. And then about there, we're probably going to stop, and we're going to come from here because it's easier for me to do that. We're going to come this way, and we're going to separate our 2 pieces into our 2 pieces, 2 halves for our tongs with our reins. Okay? So let's get it drilled and cut. So we've got a 1/4 inch bit in the drill press because we're going to use a 1/4 inch rivet when we rivet these together. So there's our 1/4 inch holes. Now you can punch these holes, but we're trying to show how to make them for beginners, and most beginners will have access to a drill somewhere. Okay, and it doesn't have to be a drill press. You can do it with just a hand drill. Okay, that's why we didn't punch them. We're trying to make this as simple as possible. Now if you can see this, we're going to start right here at the end of our 4 1/4, right there at our 4 1/4 mark, and we're going to come in at an angle, and then we're going to come right down the center, okay? Now we don't want to get too steep of an angle, because if we do, we can't make that corner. So we're going to come probably past 40 5 and almost probably to a 60. Okay, we're going to stop right there. We're going to pull that out. Okay, if you get off a little bit, don't sweat it too much. We started off here hugging this side over here on our Sharpie mark, and then we crossed over to here. But we didn't really get off our Sharpie mark, and now we're dead center. So now we want to come over here, and if you look, we're on this side here. So now we want to come to the opposite side, and we want to start here. We want to meet up right here. Like I said, about a 60-degree angle, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. Right there at our 4 1/4 mark. Okay, so there's our 2 tong halves. They pretty well match. I'm happy with them. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take them. Now you can take them and you can put them in the forge, and you can round these up with a hammer. Okay, round them up real nice with a hammer. Okay, just knock the edges off, the corners off. All we're going to do is we're going to come up here, since we're trying to show an easy way to make a pair of tongs. For those of you that are just getting into forge work, we're going to go ahead and we're just going to grind these corners off, round these corners off, and even things up with a 4 1/2 inch grinder. Okay, so that's what we're going to do next. So we're just going to take this. We're going to put this in the vise. Okay, I start with a grinding wheel, just because they last long. Okay, I do the face and I do the sides with the grinding wheel on both of them. Okay, so now I've got the edges and the face cleaned up. Now we're going to smooth it out, because the grinder leaves it kind of rough. We're going to smooth it out now with a flap. We're going to smooth it out with a flap wheel. Now we got a nice smooth ring, okay, all the way around. Now I want to pay particular attention down here to the pointy end down here where we started that bandsaw on both of these, so that we don't have a sharp edge down there to cut. But everything's nice and smooth now. It feels good in the hand. Okay, so there's our two tone blanks that we've made, and there's our 1/4 inch rivet. Now you can make a rivet from 1/4 inch rod, that's no problem at all, but like I said, we're doing it to help beginners, so you can actually even just put a 1/4 inch bolt in there until you get comfortable with riveting and you want to learn how to rivet. Okay, I buy rivets in bulk. I can make rivets, but I buy rivets and I can just grab them and pop them in there when I'm, you know, it's okay if you're only making one, but if you're doing something that involves 15, 20 rivets, it's a lot quicker just to buy them. So what you remember on the length of your rivet, these are 1¼ inch rivets. I buy them 1¼ inch long, and that's way longer than I need them. So what we're going to do is, we got 1/4 inch here and 1/4 inch here, so that's 1/2 inch thick. Okay, then we want to add 1 inch or 1½ times the diameter of the rivet. So that's a 1/4 inch rivet, so that's 2/8. So we want to add another 1/8, so that makes 3/8. So we want 3/8 plus 1/2 inch is just shy, 1/8 inch shy of 1 inch, or 7/8. Okay. So we want to come over here. We want to take our, let's move these out of the way. Want to take our hook ruler, and we want to come out here 7/8, which would be right there, and mark that at 7/8. Now the easiest way I've found to do that is to just temporarily slip that in there, face the mark where you can see it, and cut it off, keeping your fingers well out of the way. And that gives us our rivet. So here's our 2 tong halves. Like so, we want to make sure that the cutouts are facing each other. We want to cross them over. Put the rivet in from the back side, cross them over. Now when I rivet 1/4 inch or smaller, I don't heat them up. Okay, and I use a small hammer. I don't use a heavy ball peen, I use a lightweight ball peen. This is a 16-ounce ball peen here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to face that upward. I start driving it down with the face of the hammer. And then I peen it over with the ball peen. Now we're going to move it a little bit, we're going to check it. Show you where we're at here. Okay. There's our rivet. As you can see, we've got a really big dull pair of pliers right now, or scissors right now. But here in just a little bit we're going to turn it into a pair of tongs, and we'll show you how. Okay. So what we're going to do next is we're going to heat this up. We're going to stick that much in the vise, being our 2 inches, and we're going to twist it at the rivet. Okay. Real quick, one thing we didn't do when we laid it out was on this 2 inch mark here, we want to go ahead and we want to put a center punch mark right there. We want a good center mark. We want it on both sides. It doesn't have to be perfectly in the center because it's just for reference. What that's going to allow us to do when we heat that to a good red heat is that way we know when we put it in the vise jaws, we know how deep we need to go into the vise jaws. Okay, so we've got our twisting wrench handy. We're going to put it right there where we need it. Now we want to make sure that these jaws are lined up. Okay, so that when we put them in the vise, When we bring it down to our mark, we want to preset our vise so we don't have to fiddle with it. Like I said, we want our jaws lined up. Now we're going to heat that to a real good orangish heat. We're going to set it in the vise right at that mark. And then we're going to come up here. We're going to grab it with our twisting wrench. We're going to tighten it down. And then we're going to give it a quarter turn. That's all we're going to go is a quarter turn. Now we're going to bring these out. So we're going to put them in straight up and down with our zero punch mark. We're going to put our twisting wrench on it, make sure it's good and tight, and then we're going to turn it a quarter turn. That's all we're going to do, a quarter turn. Okay, and there we are, a quarter turn. Go ahead and stretch them out a little bit. Okay, so there they are. Kind of funky looking, but they're quite functional. Actually, they don't look that bad. Okay, so now we're going to adjust them to hold flat stock. Let's just say we want them to hold 1/4 inch flat stock or something similar, okay? So we're going to heat them back up and then I'm going to show you how to adjust them. So we heated them back up. We're going to grab that piece of 1/4 inch right there. We're going to bring it to the very base of our twist. We're going to tighten that down, just like that. Now I'm just going to leave it sit there for a minute and let it cool. Now I'm going to bring them over here and I'm going to cool them. So there we have a real nice pair of tongs made from 1 inch by 1/4 flat bar, 22.5 inches long. We adjusted them to hold 1/4 inch flat, hold them relatively well. We want to adjust the handles. Okay. Now, go ahead and we'll put a piece of round stock in there and I'm going to dish it out for round to hold round stock. So what we've got here is we've got a V-block, and all that is a piece of angle iron welded onto a shank for a harding on the anvil. It's nothing major. It's a little loose. It was made for another anvil, but it'll work on this anvil. So that's what we're going to use. So we're going to come up here, we're going to make sure we grab the center of that as best as we can. Not quite to where we started our twist, but pretty close. We're going to set it in the middle of that V-block. We're going to hammer down. Just like that. Now we're going to come over here, we're going to change it up 180 degrees. Now we're going to bring it back again, keeping it centered. This cave's getting cold. But if you look, you can see that we're getting the jaws that we want, the rounded jaws. We're going to heat it up one more time and do it one more time. So there they are. That's round jaw for holding round, which is what I wanted them for. But basically, Make a nice basic set of tongs. They feel good in the hand. They hold it good both directions. Well, there's our finished tongs. Turned out real nice. When you get done forging them and you get everything shaped the way you want it, you get everything aligned, take the time to smooth everything out, get rid of all the sharp edges. You should be able to run your hands around them and not, feel any burrs or anything. They need to feel comfortable in the hand. But I hope you found today's video useful. If you did, I'd appreciate it if you like it and share it with your friends. That way, that helps me make more of these. So, thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time. Bye.